What's up, y'all? Thanks for stopping by the Surge T channel. I am Surge T, and this is my first video in a long time on this channel. The last time I did anything WWE was November 21st, I believe, last year, 2021. Grew disenchanted with WWE, especially because of all the firings and all of the bad bookings and character changes and this and that, and even in recent months with all the name changes, we saw that evident at SummerSlam. This is a day removed from the event, and I must say, definitely one of the best, if not SummerSlams, one of the best premium live events. I gotta get used to saying that because they don't say pay-per-views anymore, and it does make sense because we don't pay for the events, we pay for the subscription to Peacock Network. Um, all kinds of craziness in this pay per view, all kinds of over the top, just insane stuff that happened. Um, Mainly talking about the main event, which is between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, the last time ever, last man standing match for the undisputed, unified WWE Universal Championship. But yeah, I came back WrestleMania this year. I said, let me start watching it. Let's see where they're at. And WrestleMania was amazing. It was great. And it got me hooked back in. And ever since then, I've been loyal. Been watching everything. Raw, SmackDown, NXT 2.0, NXT UK, you know, their premium live events. And SummerSlam is definitely, they say it's the biggest party of the summer. And there is all kinds of hype and all kinds of build up to this event. It is the second biggest pay per view that they have amongst the original Big Four, including WrestleMania, Survivor Series, and Royal Rumble. Now let's go through the event. I'm gonna run it down, and there was not one match that I did not like. All the matches were done really well. This is the first premium live event under Triple H's new regime, I guess you can say. He took over for creative, head of creative now, Vince McMahon. All the stuff and all the BS that he's been going through, and I mean BS on this part because it isn't BS what he did. To me, I don't understand why there's people still backing the guy when he could possibly be guilty of paying off an employee, someone who worked for his company, and he's paying them off. I think he's up to like 12 million. So that means 3 million for what? 4 people that he paid off that he had sexual relations with. I even read something with Linda McMahon, and she's going, oh, he's going to find something to do in retirement. And I'm going, um, this is your husband that just cheated on you. I guess she's used to it. Maybe she knows that he has those proclivities. I don't know. But everybody's like backing him and all that stuff, and everybody's like, I don't think there's been, I've read a negative word towards him. But the guy's, this is one time where, he stepped down as CEO, and it's a good thing. I think it's going to be in better hands now. I think I'm not. I don't know if I recognize a difference that this man wasn't there. He wasn't sticking his hand in everybody's pot. You know what I mean? And taking the cook spoon away and stirring it up himself and wanting to interject his thing. I mean, even during the pay per view, I liked one remark that Michael Cole said to Michael Cole to Corey Graves. I'll talk about that later. But on what was that, SmackDown, where he was saying wrestler and professional wrestling and all that stuff, and that was the words. Because remember, McMahon had a list of words that you cannot say. You can't say title, you can't say belt, you can't say all this stuff. And so I'll get into it when I get towards that part. But the match opened with Bianca Belair and who was that? Oh, and Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship, and it was a very very good match. It was back and forth. A lot of just intensity between the two because we know that they've had quite a feud and quite a rivalry. And I like that they went where they went with this rivalry. They really built it up. They allowed it to just gestate, I guess, and to build and to at least instead of just like 1 month and then that's it. And then after the pay per view, they blow it off and you go something else. But the way it ended, very interesting. I mean, Bianca retains, hitting a definitive KOD. I mean, she didn't just pick her up and then slam her face down to the mat. She picked her up and she jumped up and just with just force, slammed her into the mat, and that was it. I think when she hits a KOD, I think the best time she hits it is on Becky. The last good one that she hit was on Becky. The worst one she does it on is Carmella. I don't understand why. I think Carmella just doesn't fall flatter or something like that, and And then at the end, Bianca's in the ring. Becky shakes her hand. Extends her hand. They shake hands, and there was no swerve there. She basically said, "You beat me," remember? And then I don't understand. I noticed that she when she rolls out of the ring, Becky, she goes right to where the commentators are, and she's just right there, just leaning on the barricade. All of a sudden, you hear what was that music that I go, whose music is that? And it's because I haven't heard it in a long time, and it was Bailey. Bailey returns in all her bravado. Still looks like she's going to be a heel. She's walking up to the ring and she's giving Bianca all kinds of what, like telling her I'm back and all this stuff. All of a sudden, someone who was released from WWE is back. I'm thinking, what is this? Because now out comes Dakota Kai. I'm happy to see her. I love her. I think she's one of the best, talents to come out of NXT. She starts walking down the aisle. And Bianca's like, what's going on? And then, if that's not enough, in comes one of my favorites, Io Shirai. It says Io Shirai, if I remember correctly, on the Titantron. And she's coming down. And they all start calling her Io Sky. I'm like, are they mispronouncing Shirai? But I read later on, and actually that's her changed name. At least they kept Io. But it's spelled Iyo Sky. I don't know. They're going to say Io Sky and Dakota Kai. Kind of sounds a little bit too familiar, but at least they didn't change her name to something that is now not even her. Not even her name. At least Io Sky is, and she's a genius of the sky, so I guess they put that together. And it's a good thing to see that she's back. I don't know if she's fully healed from her injury, but she's back. People were saying she's gone. She's going to let her contract expire, but on her Twitter, Io keeps saying that it's all lies. It's not the truth. There's just rumors. They come out. They go into the ring with only Bianca in the ring. I'm thinking, okay, they're going to beat her down, and then in comes Becky Lynch, and Becky Lynch is by her side. They look at each other, nod their heads. I thought, because I saw Bailey kind of smile, I thought Becky was going to turn on or attack Bianca, and then she was going to be their fourth woman. But it looks like in this thing now, where it's going to be a rivalry between these two groups, I guess right now, Becky's going to side with Bianca. And they're going to go against Bailey and her group. I don't know what they're going to be called. I was thinking about my Bailey's Buddies, because, those little inflatable things before, they used to be called that, I believe, right? But that was very interesting, and we're going to see what happens with that. Bailey is going to be back in the picture, because you got to remember when Bailey got injured, she was supposed to be the one to challenge for the championship. I believe she was going to challenge Bianca Belair for the SmackDown championship at the time, I believe. And she got injured, and then they had to put someone else in her place. I believe that was Becky, but, But that was a good match and good ending. Good way to reintroduce the return. You see the return, like we saw Becky's return last year at SummerSlam. This year is Bailey, and she didn't come alone. We see the return, and now I guess the main roster call-up of Dakota Kai and Io Sky. I gotta be familiar. She's always gonna be Io Shirai to me, but I can kind of get with that. That name change. Now, The Miz versus Logan Paul. Logan Paul is one of those guys that can either irritate you and grate your nerves, or you are a fan of his. I mean, he has 24 some odd million fans and subscribers on YouTube, so he's doing something right. He's got fans, but the one thing about him is that I do like his in-ring work. his comment, his promo can a little bit more work. You know what I'm saying? A little bit more work on his that thing, because sometimes he over emotes and he yells too much. If he's getting angry, he needs to kind of dial it down a little bit, and he'd be all right. But in this match, he did a lot of good stuff. He started off, pretty intense, and he started off really aggressive, and then Miz was trying to got him, settled down, in a sense that he got him to a point where he had control of the match. We saw Tommaso Ciampa coming in, Ciampa, they call him Ciampa, and he gets booted, but he refuses to leave, and then in comes AJ. AJ unceremoniously helps get him out of the ring after the referee threw Ciampa out. And then in the end, we saw Logan Paul hit the skull crushing finale and beats Miz with his own move. He even did an amazing frog splash. He did also a phenomenal forearm, but the only thing he didn't do with the phenomenal forearm is he didn't extend his arm out and then hit. He just jumped, and his elbows already in place. But yeah, you know what I mean. Like, he did a good job, and that was it was a fun match. And congratulations to him. He's now 2-0 now. He got a victory in WrestleMania with The Miz as tag team over the Mysterios, and then here we are in this match, and he gets a singles victory over The Miz. So that's that, and let's see what they do with him after this. Is he still going to be in the feud with The Miz, or is he going to move on? I think Miz and AJ Styles are going to resume their feud, because I think that's a good place to go. Let these two veterans go at it, put on some good matches. So we'll see what goes with that. Now, the U.S. Championship, we know that Theory has a, what do you call that? A very, very full plate. Not only is he going after regaining his U.S. Championship, but then he is looking to cash in on the winner of, or whoever is beaten down the worst in the main event, the last man standing match, cashing in his Money in the Bank. Here, like we knew was going to happen, he got dominated by Bobby Lashley. He was able to get some offense in. He was able to really take it to him, and he really is convincing as a heel. He could definitely be a main eventer. Theory. He has the tools. He has the skill set. He's got the looks. Good looking dude. But at the same time, he is annoying, like that little chicken shit heel that he can come off as, and the guy really can be pushed to the moon, if he does it right. If he doesn't mess up and he doesn't screw it up where, McMahon, like with Drew McIntyre, McMahon just gave up on McIntyre because he kept messing up in real life, and also a little too arrogant and wouldn't put in the work when he was the first chosen one. Now it's him. But what's gonna happen with Theory now that, like what do you call it? Like what Roman said on SmackDown, that his daddy isn't here no more. Theory's daddy, meaning Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon is not there no more, and he was the one that was behind him as his chosen one. Let's see what happens now. If Triple H likes him, and I'm sure Triple H is one of the ones who brought him in, because Triple H went to the independents and he was one of the top guys in the independent scene. He was in Evolve, I believe, and Progress, I think. And then he came over to NXT. And then now he's kind of like nipping at the heels of the main eventers now. He's not just a top mid-carder. He is someone who was holding the U.S. title before, and but he was already like main eventer. You could see. So let's see what happens with that. But in this match, he goes for what do you call it? He was in that thing where Lashley will put you in a military press, and then he'll slide you down in front of him, and then he puts on the Hurt Lock, and he submitted Theory. So Theory tapped out, and he wasn't able to retain but to regain his U.S. Championship. So let's see what happens if he doesn't, if he does the right thing and be able to cash in later in the evening. But that match was a very, very physical match. Theory held his own, but in the end, Bobby Lashley, they're going to keep that strap on him. I think that him and Gunther having the top mid-card titles, I think they're bringing prominence back to that title. Hopefully Triple H, as head of creative, will push those titles and make it to where it is the, like how back in the days during the 80s, 90s, it was the title that elevated you to the main event. When someone had the US or the Intercontinental title, people knew that they were going to be the next ones to challenge and to possibly be the next WWE champion. Let's see what happens with that. The Mysterios versus Judgment Day. We've seen this every week, pretty much. Why are we invested still in this rivalry? Okay, I like Finn. I like, you know, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. I think that the three together actually make a very intriguing trio. And Ray and Dominic, former tag team champions versus father and son tag team champions in WWE. You know, and they put out some good matches. I mean, I admit that I'm into it and I'm watching it, but we've seen this so many times. There wasn't even a stipulation or anything, right? I mean, in the tag team match, well, it was a no disqualification, if I'm not mistaken, and so it was kind of funny how almost towards the end of the match, they started introducing chairs and stuff like that, and you know, of course, no disqualification, right? So what happens during the course of the match? In comes someone, to no surprise, because we've seen the vignettes, so we kind of figure it out. Especially towards the end, the last vignette when we saw the silhouette, and all of a sudden, a la the Brood, a la Gangrel, in comes Edge, and the Judgment Day are looking like they seen a ghost. But I don't understand why all the bravado and their three on one, they pretty much unceremoniously kicked him out as the leader, right? But then they're acting all scared when they see him. And then in comes Edge, and Edge handles his own, a spear on Damian Priest, a spear on Finn. If he wanted to, he probably would have did one on Rhea. But he does that, and then he's, you know, on the outside, and they got Judgment Day on the ropes, stripped over the ropes. I believe it was Finn. Was it Finn? I believe it was. They do the 619, a double one, and they end up, well, Ray goes over the top rope, does a splash. I think he fell short of wanting to splash him completely. And you can see that it was just his head and the shoulder, top shoulder area hit God, who was that? Was it Damian Priest? But regardless, they pinned Judgment Day, and then Edge is smiling, and Edge kind of gets a little bit of retribution to see what happens with Edge. Even Edge and Ray kind of gave each other a look, like, you know, in agreement of what happened. But that's going to be cool to see what happens next with Edge. Edge has a lot, you know, to do with you know, with their success with Judgment Day. You know, it's kind of funny how they were saying that the reason why they kicked him out because he was in their way, but yet wasn't Edge saying that I'm bringing you into the Judgment Day so you can shine and do your own thing and not be a sheep to the fans and all that stuff. Yet they kicked him out because he was in their way. He wasn't. Wasn't he showing them the way? And they were successful. Nobody thought about Damian Priest. Nobody thought about you know, Finn until he went into the Judgment Day. So I don't know about that. Now, like I said, the Mysterios defeated the Judgment Day. And then we got Pat McAfee versus Happy Corbin. And I gotta admit that I'm not tired of this rivalry. Kind of ironic or kind of amazing that these two were in the Indianapolis Colts as rookies. It's weird how stuff like this happens. You know, I guess it wouldn't have happened if these guys weren't even rivalries or whatever, or like they're on different brands. But they have a pretty definite great story that these two were in the NFL. McAfee was successful. He even appeared in the Super Bowl. And then what I call it was a washout, pretty much, I guess. Happy Corbin, he comes to WWE, a success there. And then comes what I call it. Remember, these guys were trading words. I mean, you have McAfee being attacked from behind and dragged into the crowd and beaten and all that stuff, and they get to this match, and well, on SmackDown he got a low blow from Corbin, who was supposed to be a fan. He throws popcorn at McAfee, and then McAfee gets a little bit of a payback. With the referee distracted, he kicks Corbin low, and then that was it. And he was able to pin him and defeat him. It was what was that move? It was like a Canadian Buster type move, right? And he pinned him. Pinned Happy Corbin, and now McAfee, I believe he's also same thing with Logan Paul. They got victories at WrestleMania and at SummerSlam. They're both 2-0. Well, I guess in the main roster, I believe he lost to Adam Cole in their rivalry on NXT. But doing good, doing well. Now, in this match, this is what I was talking about. Corey Graves, who is a friends of Happy Corbin, and then we have Michael Cole, who's friends with what do you call it, with his broadcast partner Pat McAfee. Now, what do you call it? Corey Graves tells him, I liked it better when you weren't allowed to have an opinion, and that's what Corey Graves said. Michael Cole says, that's changed. A lot has changed. Now, what are they referring to? Mr. McMahon in his ear all the time telling Michael Cole what to say. Now, I know that Stephanie McMahon and maybe even Triple H do that, but they're not as thing as him. Like, they'll allow them a little bit of freedom. And like I said, Michael Cole said wrestling and pro wrestlers on SmackDown. So, there's a little bit of change now. They're allowed to pretty much say what they say. I think I even noticed that in some of the promos on SmackDown and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of change now. That's a good thing about McMahon being away. And I don't think McMahon's going to ever come back because of the allegations he has right now. If he came back, he would just totally tarnish the whole vibe of WWE right now. So, I don't know. Even if he were to found to be, not guilty, but I don't think so. Because it just reeks of McMahon, his attitude and how he is. Maybe, you know what I mean? So, but that was said. And I'm like going, that's what they're referring to. They're referring to Vince McMahon because Vince McMahon tells you what to say. He has a list of banned words. I'm pretty sure they have it in their paperwork there on the commentary desk, So, but now let's move on to that. And Unified Tag Team titles, the Usos in the end, they retain. And it was a very, very good match. You see Montez Ford being very, very just frustrated and angry, and it's almost like you see a turn. Like Jeff Jarrett was there, and Jeff Jarrett didn't mince words. When these guys would not break away from their opponent after the 5, he did it with Jay or Jimmy, and then he did it with Angelo Dawkins. He would pick them up and throw them to the middle of the ring and said, I said 5, like. So he was exerting his authority there. Because who's going to fuck with him, right? I mean, I look at him, he's a 55-year-old guy. And the guy looks in probably better shape than he was when he was in his 30s. But the match went, it could have went either way. But you know that they're going to retain. Because there is no way that they're going to break up the thing that they have right now with the bloodline. They're going to maintain the championships. And they're going to keep that until there's really somebody that's going to be built up to the point where there's no denying that they're going to unseat the Usos and even, be able to unseat the Tribal Chief. But a lot of good stuff here. Montez even hit the from the heavens, that amazing frog splash, and he still wasn't able to pin the Usos. We saw a lot of super kicks, which to me doesn't get old. I think they do it to a point where it's needed. Like the Young Bucks from AEW, they always seem to think that it's almost like that's their only move, and they just use it willy-nilly. You know what I mean? Like, you're not only because those guys aren't only super kicks. They're a very talented tag team, but I don't understand why it seems like they always use it to excess. You know what I mean? You can count probably 30 super kicks that they throw in a match. But here we saw the Usos retain, and of course, what's going to happen? What else is going to happen? Like I said, the bloodline needs to stay strong, and it needs to stay a strong unit. They're not gonna have them lose the titles, even though those would have been a nice upset. I think nobody would have complained if they dropped the titles to the Street Profits. But then I thought that at the end, because Angelo Dawkins wasn't able to, what was the thing? I'm trying to remember who got pinned, but I think Angelo got pinned. And then Montez. Don't remember, but it's like I thought that because they lost, that I thought Montez was gonna get mad at Angelo, and he was going to attack him and beat him down. There's thoughts of that. They even alluded to that in commentary that don't forget about Angelo Dawkins. He's been stepping up his game. He's been stepping up his training regimen and all that stuff because he doesn't want to be forgotten. because everybody's talking about Montez Ford already. They're talking about him already, possibly being a future world heavyweight champion, a future singles champion. So you would think, what is Angelo Dawkins thinking? Is he thinking like these guys are forgetting about me? Am I going to be the Marty Jannetty? Am I going to be the Jim the Anvil Neidhart? Am I going to be the one that doesn't get that singles success, but my partner's going to be, you know, because I don't know about Angelo Dawkins. He just fits the tag team title or the tag team champion, tag team mold. I don't see him as a singles competitor. He can pick up like an Intercontinental title or the title, but he probably will end up getting another partner if they break these guys up, which I think is a joke. McMahon didn't like tag team wrestling. I believe Triple H and Stephanie McMahon do love tag team wrestling, so they're probably not going to break them up. They're going to probably maintain the teams, at least have so that they can have a good division. You want to break these guys up every time you want to have it's like, because it's lazy. It's just lazy writing. Like, well, let's just have a feud, but let's have a feud between a tag team, break them up, and that's an easy. Instead of building up at one arc organically between two different entities that come together and clash and stuff like So that's what I'm saying. But I like that match too. A very very good match and a very very good way to to possibly end that feud. I don't know if they're gonna have another shot. I don't think they deserve another shot because they've already had two. This was a definitive win. It wasn't a shoulder up after the referee counted three kind of thing. Now, let's go to the SmackDown Women's Championship. This was the one before the world title match and between Liv Morgan and the Cinderella story. The one I'm glad that she became a champion. I love the girl. I think she's amazing. She thinks she's very talented. Gotten better and better over the 8 years since she started with WWE. 8-year journey to the championship. She faces Ronda Rousey, who is getting those heel vibes in the last couple days. And in this match, she was dominant. Ronda was. Everybody knows that. She sees Liv coming from a mile away now. No surprise. No Money in the Bank cash in. And she was working over Liv's shoulder to the point where she almost had her tapped out a couple times. Liv would always go to the ropes. Now, over the course of the match, Liv's fighting and she's fighting back. One point where you knew, I said, okay, here it is. Ronda's going to get the title back. But I was hoping against hope that the Liv's going to continue on because she deserves to have a long reign just because of the fact of what she's done and how far she's come. She's convincing in the ring. There's a lot of people that even Jim Cornette wants to say she's too pretty to be a champion or she's not convinced, she's too small. I'm like, so he's not looking at the other women? None of the other women except for Raquel Gonzalez and some of the others who are tall, who are muscular, who are who have a good size on them. The majority of the women there are short and they're pretty too. Like, so what's Jim Cornette? He just wants to be an old crusty old hater. I don't understand him. I really don't. But but in the end, okay, we have an armbar, standing armbar. Liv was standing and then Ronda was holding on to her, but her shoulders were on the mat. As she was lifted up into a position where her body was in the air, but her shoulders were on the mat, and then she has the armbar on Liv, and then Liv is one. The referee decides, okay, I'm gonna count shoulders. Ronda's shoulders down, 1, 2. Before the 3 count, you see Liv. They had to show different camera angles, but Liv was tapping. But the referee only saw her shoulder on the mat. Ronda counted 3. So technically, Ronda won the match, right? It's almost like the whole thing with Charlotte Flair. When Charlotte Flair was going like this, and Ronda didn't win it because the referee didn't see it. Same thing here. It's probably just only going to facilitate her heel turn, which is a good thing because she's better as a heel. I like when she comes out in the ring during the announcement when the music hits and she's not smiling, cheesing it up for the audience. She needs to be serious, straightforward Ronda Rousey that we saw in the UFC. And even during her time when she was a heel, she came out not smiling. If she smiled, it was a smirk. Not like Raquel Gonzalez, who someone tells her you have to smile, even when she's doing a difficult, physically imposing type of a move, and then she tries. I swear, I've seen her in one match where she's knocked down and she's disoriented, but you see her trying to force a smile, like someone told her, like, you gotta smile, and she's beautiful. She's got an amazing smile, nice teeth, white, pearly white smile. But it's like, I don't want to see that when you're wrestling. I don't want to see that. I'll see that when you're dominating somebody and you can smile. That's fine. You're dominating somebody, but don't smile like before you do a match. Like, it doesn't work. It looks like she's being forced to smile, and there's a lot of people on social media that are saying that, oh, her smile is too forced. You know that she's told me somebody told her to smile. You see that. You can tell that. But like I said, in the end, Liv, she was able to retain her title, but then Ronda Rousey, she snaps, she attacks Liv, and then she attacks the referee. So she's gonna get fined for that for sure. But there you are. She wins the championship, and she still remains your SmackDown Women's title holder, champion next year. Now let's go to the final match, and that is the match for Riddle. He did make an appearance. It's actually after the tag team title match, and he says that, I'm not gonna let these guys tell me what to do. They say that I'm not medically cleared, and then he calls out Seth. Seth comes out, is able to take him down and hit him with another curb stomp, another stomp, and they're saying that he has like a broken neck, or his neck is hurt, and so they're selling that because they're going to face each other at Clash at the Champions, Clash at the Castle. They're postponing that match between Seth and Riddle for that event, which is really shaping up because now, what do you call it? Drew McIntyre won the one-on-one match with Sheamus, the Donnybrook bar brawl, whatever kind of match you want to see. At least they set it up to look like a bar at least. It's not like some places where they go a street fight and then they're in the ring still. So it's, and then, it's like that's a street fight. That's not a. I mean, that's like the disqualification matches. You know what I mean? So I don't know why they always say that. Because if if it's a street fight, go in the street. Like, I've noticed that lately with WWE, even some other places, they don't go in the street. They don't even go out in the backyard or the backstage area. They're just right there in the ring. That's not a street fight, you know. But anyway, let's. That was that match, and we're going to see that match at Clash of Castle. So we'll see what happens. Now, the undisputed WWE Universal Championship match. We all know where it was going to go, how it was going to end, but to get there, they had to go through all this madness. Brock Lesnar brings in a forklift. Not a forklift, but a damn dump truck. He's a farmer. They probably asked him beforehand, can you drive one, Brock? And they go, can you drive it down the aisle so you don't hit nobody? He's like, oh yeah, sure. And I was just looking at it, okay, kind of spaced out nicely, just enough for that truck to come through. And I was wondering what he was going to use that for. I mean, during the course of the match, he used it to put Roman Reigns in there, and he dumped him onto the ring, right, and on the mat, and he makes the 10 count. And then we saw Brock use it to lift the damn ring up, so it was like up sideways. Half of it was up, and the other half was down. Roman Reigns was in there, and he rolled out, and they counted him out. All this, and he was able to make the 10 count. Both of them were able to make the 10 count after a couple of just brutal type attacks. Like, one thing I hate about Roman Reigns is that this dude, during the course of this match, after that aftermath, what do you call it, comes in to try to cash in. Here's the thing I was thinking about. I don't think a cash-in has ever been attempted on a stipulation match. It's always been a one-on-one falls or pinfalls or count-out type of a situation. I'm thinking that if he cashed in, he would have had to knock out both the guys and have them both counted down. It was kind of like a scenario where he couldn't win. He would have lost because he knocked out Roman Reigns, right? And then Reigns, then Brock comes in and F5s him, knocks him out. He didn't get up for like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. He was on the ground. Roman Reigns, he got hit with F5s and would always get up. He got choked out with the Kimura, and he got up for the 10 count. Like, enough with this whole thing of the Superman mentality where these guys get put with all these damn moves and then they're able to get up or count or kick out like that. I think with Roman Reigns, I think it works because of how they built up his character. He's a guy that can do that. But it gets old after a while. It kind of gets annoying after a while when you always do that with Roman Reigns. And then in the end, he used the Universal title to knock Brock out. He gets up, hits him with the what do you call it? With the other title, WWE title. Brock gets up, so he hits him one more time, and then he piles the timekeeper's desk, whatever, every kind of thing, chairs on top of him, and Roman stands on top of the thing, and he's counted down, and Roman retains. And then you see, the Theory was still on the ground. After he just got hit by an F5 and he gets up, he was fresh out of all those guys. How come he didn't get up right away? But yet Roman Reigns, he gets hit with all these moves, F5s, whatever, outside the ring, he gets up right away. And like I said, it would not have worked. It would not have, unless, because I was thinking that if he cashed it in, it should have turned it into a regular match, or he should have waited till after the match. Like how come he's waiting till the both? I think you think about it. It would have been perfect if he saw that Brock was underneath the ring, underneath all that debris. He couldn't get up, so he could come in and target Roman. But then Usos are there, and even though they were knocked down, maybe they would have been knocked down. Right up, Roman would have been by himself, and then he could have tried, and it would have been It would have been a one-on-one match. It would have been a regular match. It wouldn't have been because I was thinking, has there ever been a multi-man match when it comes to a last man standing match? It would have to be an elimination style where one guy gets knocked down, and if he gets counted out, he's gone, and there's two left, or however many people were in that match. But it was really a scenario where he wouldn't have won. He wouldn't have been able to, Theory, ideally cash it in. It would have been, how would you do that in a last man standing match? You would have to knock both guys out. But, I know I kind of breezed through that, but it was a crazy match. Brock looking good, Brock looking as dominant as ever, you know. They really went at it. This match was like physical, like a last man standing match would be physical. It's not going to be less than physical. They were trying everything they could to knock each other down and knock each other out, but they would always get up before the 10. There was one time where they were both down and they both got up at the count of 10. This may definitely be Brock's last match in WWE, or if not, he's going to move on. I was thinking about scenarios that he would go to NXT, take on Braun Breaker. You think of somebody who would be able to put Braun Breaker over, or he can go to NXT UK and take on Ilya Dragunov. Because Ilya Dragunov had a banger of a match with Wolfgang, and he was able to put him away. So you would think he would just see what he does with with Brock. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but I'm going to end this video because I went pretty long for my first video in months, almost a year. But for those of you who stopped by and checked out my video, I appreciate it. Thank you for your support. I've noticed that my subs keep going up even when I was away. A lot of things happened in my life, and that's why I was away. I kind of gave up on WWE for about 5 months just because I was tired of the horse shit. And then I saw WrestleMania. Ever since WrestleMania, it's been better. But still a lot of things to work on. But now WWE has Triple H in charge of creative. You have Stephanie and Nick Khan, who are co-CEOs. They still have Kevin Dunn, and they still have Bruce Pritchard. I don't know if those two are going to be here for any longer. But Triple H in a recent interview said that they're going to all work together. He even mentioned Kevin Dunn. So I don't know. Kevin Dunn is of Raw, Vince McMahon's old regime. So really, people want him gone, and I want him gone because the guy is just as bad as Vince McMahon when it comes to not pushing people and always the whole mentality of you need big guys in the main event and no vanilla midgets, no NXT guys. I mean, I can talk about that in another, maybe because I'm going to be doing these videos from now on. And I'll talk about NXT 2.0 and what's going to be going on there, and Raw and SmackDown, and all the other wrestling too. I mean, I'll be covering AEW too and everything like that. A lot of good stuff happening there too. But anyway, that's my video. And again, those of you who stopped by and checked out my video, I appreciate it. I know it's gone long, but it's my first video, so I'm gonna iron it out to where I can get it down to about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You know what I mean? But I enjoyed SummerSlam, probably the best SummerSlam in history, probably the best pay-per-view WWE has put on this year, even better probably than WrestleMania. I loved WrestleMania this year. But anyway, like I said, that's my video. So for those of you who stopped by and checked it out, I appreciate it. And in closing, as always, take care.